Hey everybody, Hake Hardware here, and in this video we are going to go over how to install the FE or FriendlyElec Debian Bullseye Minimal to the eMMC of the CM3588. And yes, that is a mouthful. The Debian Bullseye Minimal version is using Debian 11, the XFCE desktop environment, and Minimal is it's going to have no pre-installed software. So if you need a lightweight uh, desktop environment, this is a great option. I don't use the desktop environment, and these instructions are going to kind of be towards someone who's going to be SSHing into this. If you really, honestly, if you're just going to be using SSH to connect to your CM3588, I recommend Bookworm Core. It's just going to be CLI, no desktop environment, so it's nice, smooth, easy. And if you are going to use a desktop environment, I kind of recommend doing Ubuntu Noble Minimal down here. So there'll be a video on that. There's already a video on Bookworm Core. And then if you need like a NAS or something like that, you can use Open Media Vault. Or if you need something like Proxmox, there's also a Proxmox image that you can use. So for those that want a lightweight desktop environment, this might be the best option. Some prerequisites, you're going to need a CM3588, of course, MicroSD card, at least 16 gigabytes, MicroSD card reader if your computer doesn't already have a way to read the MicroSD card, and then of course the image you are planning to install. So in this case, it's going to be Debian Bullseye Minimal. The first thing we're going to do is download the image. So here's the FriendlyElec wiki, which actually has a ton of really good information. This is going to link you directly to the official image section. We'll click the download link. You're going to go into Google Drive. You're going to click official images. And then since we're going to be installing the operating system to the eMMC from the SD card, we'll do option 2 here. And then you're going to look for Bullseye. So they do have like a full desktop version that's going to have like pre-installed packages. I never typically do that one because I like to choose my own packages. So you'll click this one, you can right click and do download. I've already downloaded the image, so I'm not going to do it again. Going back to the instructions here, we just did all this. And then there's two guides. If you're on Ubuntu, you can use this guide to flash your SD card. And if you're on Windows, you can use this guide to flash your SD card. So it's kind of a process. I overkill with it. I like to just make sure my SD card is in perfect shape for flashing and then getting the image over depending on whether you're using Windows or Ubuntu. Ubuntu is super easy. It's like one command and you can do it. Whereas Windows, you kind of have to, there's probably like a CLI way to do it, but I use I think it's like USB Imager or something, which works really well. Either way, check those guides out. When you're done and the SD card has been flashed, come back here and we're going to pick up where we are flashing the eMMC. So one quick note for those who are planning to hook up maybe a keyboard or monitor, maybe a mouse, note that there are 3 HDMI ports. 2 of them are outputs, so you can actually plug it into a monitor. One of them is an input. So you do not have 3 HDMI outputs, you have 2 outputs. If you want to be sure you're using an output, just use the middle port. Otherwise, you might get a black screen. All right, one cool thing about the eFlasher images that FriendlyElec provides, I'm going to say FriendlyElec instead of FriendlyElec, is that they will automatically flash the eMMC when you boot it up. So once you finish flashing the SD card, you insert it into the CM3588, you turn it on, it will automatically flash it. You'll see it go to like a screen where there's a bunch of progress bars, flashes it, then tells you to shut it down. At that point, you can shut it down. Just make sure you remove the SD card because if you boot it up again with the SD card in it, it's just going to reflash it. So keep that in mind. Don't forget to remove the SD card. All right. Again, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I typically just use SSH to manage my CM3588s. If you're going to be plugging in directly and just like you can go into your browser and bring up, this guide, things might be slightly different because first of all, there's like an automatic login, which we're going to shut off. I mean, you can see all the different things we're going to do. Really, the main thing is like preventing the auto login, and removing the Pi user is like some of the things you may or may not want to do, but a lot of these things are going to be useful no matter what. So first off, we need to SSH into it. If you're just hooking up with a keyboard and monitor, that's fine. A lot of this is going to be the same, but I prefer to SSH into it. So I'm going to bring up Termius, and I recommend, especially if you're on Windows, to download Termius. It's free. It allows you to do a lot of really cool things with your SSH clients where you can save them, and the UI is really nice. You have lots of themes. I am not getting paid to do this. It's just something that I really love, and I get a lot of questions in my videos about what SSH client I'm using. So let's get into it here. Let me bring up Termius. And this is what I've been using. We'll edit it and need to actually grab the IP address. So you should be able to just go into your router if you're going to SSH into it, and then find the entry for the CM3588. So actually, let me just hide this real quick. I think I showed it, but yeah, you should see something that says CM3588 for your DHCP leases, and then just grab the IP address. For me, it's going to be this, and then I need to go down to the credentials, and we're going to be logging in as Pi, and the password is Pi. Actually, I want to see if root. I don't think root works. For default, root, and then FA is the password. I don't think it's going to let me. No, I think root login is disabled. So we'll do Pi, and we log right in. So I'm going to have the wiki kind of in the background, and I'll be typing the commands in the foreground here. So the first thing we're going to do, I like to add my own user. So sudo add user Hake hardware. You'll be UID 1001, which kind of bugs me. I like to just have my user as 1000, but keep that in mind if you're ever using a UID commands. And then it creates a home directory. We'll just put in our password here. I just totally messed up that password. All right, and then you can just hit enter for all these things. And there you go. So the user is set up. And then we want to add that user to the sudo group. So sudo usermod -ag to add group, sudo. And this way we don't have to log in to our root user or drop into the root console to do things like installing updates. It's just a lot easier. Okay, so at this point, I will log into my new user that I created. So I'll do exit, and then I'll come back in here, and now I have a preset that I use, and then I'll do connect. So now I'm logged in as Hake Hardware. If I do who, I can see that there's the Pi user still has been logged in, and the Hake Hardware is logged in. So because I'm going to be deleting the Pi user, it's up to you. You can leave the Pi user if you want. I'm going to be deleting it with the sudo pkill. This is actually going to kill all the processes that Pi is using. Because right now, if I were to plug a monitor into the CM3588, because it has auto login, the Pi user is actually already logged in to the system. So that'll just like kick it out and make sure there's no processes running, so that we can do sudo delete user remove home Pi. And that's going to basically delete everything about Pi. We don't need Pi anymore, no longer part of the system. Let's also change the root password because it is just FA. So we'll do sudo passwd root and then put in something a little bit better than FA. And then by default, so if we cat out etc apt sources.list, it's using a mirror. And I don't know anything about this mirror, but I prefer to use, I can see it's .cn, so likely it's a mirror in China. That's not really going to be performant for me. So I like to actually edit my sources back to the original Debian ones. So it's pretty easy. Unfortunately, the hardest part is that you don't have Nano installed, and you don't want to install Nano until you update the sources. So we're going to actually use vi, which I have very little experience using, but we're going to do just sudo vi. Actually, first, we're going to set a backup. Sorry. Let's make sure we get the backup set up here. So this move command basically is a way in like Linux to rename something. So we're going to rename the sources.list to sources.list.back for backup. That's just in case for some reason we need to restore them. And then we'll do sudo vi etc apt sources.list. Don't do that dot at the end. I don't know why it does that, but we're going to leave it just as, oh, I think it's because the autocomplete. But either way, just make sure there's no dot there and then hit enter. And then you're going to hit I for insert. You're going to copy these lists up here. And you're going to, for me, it's Control Shift V if you're using like Termius. That's how you paste in there. And then you're going to hit escape and then :WQ. That's to save and exit. So now if we cat out our sources, we can see they're just the deb.debian.org ones. So it's just a good idea. And now we can do an update. So there's going to be a lot of prompts, I think, because certain files have been modified by FriendlyElec, and I always choose to just use the package maintainers version. That way, we're using the official version of those files. I don't know if there's specific reasons why FriendlyElec modified those files. They could just be older files or something like that. There might be reasons why they did that. So change these things. You can always just use the existing version of the file and choose not to use the maintainers version. Again, for me, I always just use the maintainers version because I don't really know what those changes are doing. And as far as I know, the default settings are going to be the most secure. They're going to be the best option. So we might not even get any pop-ups. I think there's going to be at least one or two things, maybe. No. Okay, cool. So everything actually was perfect. I might need to update this guide because I had a bunch of these pop up, and I think it might be because I had like the wrong sources when I initially went through. But either way, now that everything's been updated, we can do sudo reboot now. And then what we're going to do next is install some additional packages because by default, Nano's not installed. I like Tmux, which is like a session manager. So if you're connected via SSH, sorry, I'm not really showing what I'm looking at in the back here. Actually, let's just hide this real quick. These are the ones I like to install. HTOP, which allows you to monitor your system. IFTOP, which is the same thing, but for like network interfaces. Nmap is nice for like diagnosing maybe like various issues with your network. Nano is a great little text editor for editing things in SSH, over SSH. And then Tmux is a terminal manager that's persistent if you were to log out of your SSH session. That way, if you have a long running task and you don't want to just keep that console window open, you can run it in Tmux and close out of the console, and then you can always restore that session if you need to. Sometimes it's hard to conceptualize why this is helpful until you actually have to do it. So just keep that in mind. Tmux is a great option if you want to do stuff like that. Okay, so let's actually just copy that command, and then we'll just paste it in here, get all that stuff installed. And then you may not have any results from this, but I always just do sudo apt auto remove -y. Usually it'll prompt you saying that there's like to run auto remove, but I'll just do it anyways. Yeah, nothing was removed. Okay, hostname. So by default, CM3588 is your hostname. I sometimes have multiple of these on my network, so I like to rename the host. It's super easy. So you go sudo nano etc hosts, go down to CM3588, and I just name them Comet. That's just like what I've been using for my hostname. You can put whatever you want. I'll do like Comet 1, 2, 3, 4, however I want to do it. You'll do Control X, and this is Nano, by the way. We were using Vi before, now we're using Nano. To save and exit in Nano, you do Control X and then hit Y and then hit Enter. And now that's been saved. And then we need to edit the hostname file. So similar, we do sudo nano etc hostname. and just delete CM3588 and put in whatever you did for your other host name. Control X, Y, enter to save. And then to actually see the changes, I'm just going to do a quick reboot. It's so fast to reboot this system. I probably reboot more than I have to. All right, so because we deleted the Pi user, and by default that user is set to log in automatically, we're going to, so I'm going to prevent auto login, but if you want, you can actually update this to be your user instead of the Pi user. So we'll just copy this sudo nano lightdm.config, and we'll paste it in here. And we're going to go down all the way, here we go, to the auto login. And for me, I'm just going to comment this out because I have no need to have this user log in. If you want to change it to your username, you can do that and just leave these uncommented. And then Control X, Y, enter to save. So for me, now nobody's going to be automatically logged in. All right, so if I do time, date, CTL, I can see right now my local time is set to UTC. We're going to set it to our actual time zone. If you're not sure what to put, you can run this sudo time date CTL list time zones, and it's going to show you all the options. And you can hit page down or page up to scroll through them really quickly, and then just Q to exit out. So find your time zone, and then you'll run sudo time date CTL set time zone. For me, it's America Phoenix. And now if we run time date CTL, we can see my local time is set correctly. So that's just good practice to have that set correctly. Another thing is our locales. So if I type in locale, we can see it's all set to C.UTF-8. For me, I mean, you might want to keep this, but for me, I'm in the US, so I'm going to do US UTF-8. So we can just run this sudo dpackage reconfigure locales, and I'll just page down to EN, and I will select EN US, or not, is this the right one? Oh yeah, UTF-8, there it is. I don't know why I missed that the first time. And then hit tab to go to OK. And then you're just going to scroll down and we're going to do EN US UTF-8, tab to OK, and it's going to generate the locales. And once it's done, if we type locale, actually we have to exit out of our session, go back in, type locale, and we see now that it's EN US UTF-8. So that's going to work best for me. Choose the options that work best for you. And that's really it. So not all these changes are necessary, and sometimes yours might be slightly different than mine, depending on where your location is and how you want everything set up. These are just things that I do after the initial installation. It's really kind of up to you how you want to do some of these things, but this is just what I do. Hopefully this video was helpful. We're going to have some other videos, if they're not up already, for Open Media Vault. Let me just hide this real quick. We got, yeah, Open Media Vault, which is actually typically installed by default on the eMMC when you get them, if you have eMMC storage. Proxmox, which is cool. There's an eFlasher version for Proxmox. I don't know these, I'm hoping they disappear, but these old install FE Ubuntu, like this was an old article that I deleted. It didn't quite disappear yet, and same with install FE Debian. There's also Armbian, which I'm going to have a video for. In fact, I already have a video for it, but I'm going to redo it. It's not maintained by FriendlyElec. It's kind of like another project, if you've heard of it, for like ARM devices that want to run Debian. There's not official support, it's community support for it, but it's a cool option to check out to see if you like it. Otherwise, there's lots of different options, which is pretty cool with the CM3588s. And that'll be it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.